Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting episode of Spinners of Fate. I'm Nell, and joining me once again is our ever wonderful friend Bodie. Welcome back.
Hey.
So it's been a couple of months. What's changed?
So there's been a lot of stuff that's changed. Like I've been doing a lot of work on environments, and the other artists have also been doing other work. Like Tony's been doing environment work, and Luciana, she's been doing some great character portrait work. But I've also been changing sort of the, I guess you call it sandbox mechanics, like the design mechanics in the game. And that's changed too. So I guess we can go into each of those.
Well, let's start with the elephant in the room, because I remember, if anybody who's hasn't been watching your live streams, you recently changed the mechanic for the time stop.
Yes. So after getting feedback from the GDC, like what was it called? The IGF, the Indie Game Foundation. There was like a contest, and I submitted the game to it. And I recently just got feedback from it, and everyone basically said the same thing, that like the demo was drab, like the environment was boring, and then also that they felt like I wasn't doing enough, or they weren't really satisfied with the time mechanic. And that's something that I've been kind of feeling for a while, that like I would have a really hard time trying to balance it, like how much time can you time stop and stuff like that, and it just felt really powerful. So I just had to think about why this wasn't working, and I realized that even though you can, like, one of the big changes I made with the time stop after this was to make it so that you can no longer harm enemies while time is stopped. And because like what happened before is like you would stop time and then you would just stand in front of an enemy and just hit it, and it would actually be, if you think about it, that's actually really boring gameplay. Like, you don't have to avoid anything, you're just mindlessly tapping the button to attack. And so I decided to take that out, so now enemies are invulnerable while time is stopped. And what that did was it shifted the focus of time stop from like, oh, this is like superpower mode. It shifted it to something that's more manageable, which is just like positioning. Because a lot
It
in
shifted
Metroidvania,
it kind of from an offensive tool to a defensive tool.
right? So I don't know if you guys have seen like the first like level. There's like the spring monsters where they like robots, where they're constantly jumping at you, and a lot of times this can get you into a bad situation where you can't actually get away. And so what the time stop would allow you to do is like, hey, stop, I want to be behind you now. And you just do that. And so it's turned it into a positioning tool, and kind of a like, oh shit, let's go somewhere else kind of tool. And I actually really like the way it feels. And with the upcoming alpha, I hope you guys like the way it feels as well.
Well, I'm sure the alpha backers, including myself, will be able to provide a lot of feedback once we get our hands on that.
Cool. Looking forward to it. Just don't be gentle, but no.
Well, there's a difference between being gentle and being honest, and chances are most of us here are going to be a little bit of both, but we're going to basically explain what we like and what we don't like, and offer our suggestions on how to improve it, and then you can get ideas from that.
Yeah. I mean, we're both on each other's side, so I think it'll be okay. And so there's also a second change that I did with the time stop, which is, so normally with time stop, before you had like the sand, like the MP, the magic points, they would actually just constantly be regenerating with time, just as you play the game. And what I did was I made it, like, a problem with that was that people could just stop time, jump over enemies, and progress, and not fight at all, and then kind of like find a safe spot and just wait, and then they do it again. And like technically I could have a pacifist mode, but I don't think that would be very interesting. I mean, if players are capable of doing something that is easier, I think they're going to do it. And so I wanted to kind of encourage them not to do that. So what I did was I made it so that it no longer regens on its own over time, but killing enemies regenerates based on how like strong the enemy was. So it encourages you to use time stop to kill things, and then you'll get it back after you kill them. And it also means that you can't just like skip the whole game.
Now the question on that would be: is are the enemies going to give a percentage back, or are they going to give a set amount? Because if the amount that we get keeps going up, when we go back to lower levels, it's going to take killing more enemies to recover our time stop.
I think it's going to be more of a percentage based on like how strong they were in the zone. So if it's like an enemy that has the highest HP in the zone, it'll give like the high percentage back. And I also don't know. So another thing that's interesting is that having the max MP for the time stop is actually more interesting for me to keep that low, or at least not give you very much max MP, because that means that I can design puzzles or kind of situations in a room where you have to kind of do it perfectly in order to progress,
well,
or at least semi-perfectly.
Within reason, you don't want to have it frame perfect.
Right.
But yeah, that actually sounds rather interesting. I like the fact that the mechanic is now more of a defensive tool, and that could be very useful for boss fights. Like, as an example, some bosses might do certain attacks that might be unblockable, and you'd have to time skip through them, and then you have to hope that you've hit the boss enough times in order to not take that kind of damage.
Right. And that reminds me, right now the design is, since like you can't like kill a boss. I mean, like, you want to use time stop during a boss battle, but if you run out, you're done. So the current design is that hitting a boss, like damaging it, restores a little bit of time. But someone suggested that instead I have like phases in a boss where they just kind of have like minions or things that fall that I can break to get time stop back. So that's another thing I could kind of approach. It's kind of like how Super Metroid did it.
Yeah, I was
where,
just
like,
thinking
some bosses,
of Super Metroid, like with Kraid or the Centipede, where they would fire little projectiles at you that you could destroy for getting missiles and stuff back.
Yeah, so we might end up doing something like that, but we'll play with it, play it by ear.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that and provide adequate feedback. And if anybody does have any suggestions, you can leave it in the box below, and I'll make sure that Bodie has forwarded all the suggestions that you guys have.
Awesome.
But let's take a moment here. The alpha is coming out very soon. Actually, when we record this, it'll be out shortly afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
The alpha means that you're pretty much ready to submit this to stuff like PAX and GDC, isn't that right?
Yeah, so like the kind of reason for me like having the alpha ready is because it's sort of a two birds with one stone, where like I can submit to Indiecade and PAX Prime, since those submissions, even though those are in like August and they're in October and September, like the submissions are opening now, so like I have to make a polished experience. I can't just like give them the demo that I had last year because I didn't get in, so obviously I needed to do better, so I had to polish that demo up, and at the same time that, hey, this is like a vertical slice of what the game is right now, this would be perfect for an alpha. So that's what I've been doing this past 3 weeks, just making it perfect.
Well, I have to say, I'm very encouraged given what I've been watching on the stream, because you've been doing a lot of coding on stream, testing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, except for those poor cats.
Yeah.
Did you want to explain that joke?
There's a debug room where there's probably like 900 cats that fall from the sky, and I use that mainly for testing item drops and stuff. But the other day I was using it for testing leveling up, and so there's just like hundreds of kitties exploding.
Poor kittens.
People suggested putting that in the final game, and maybe I could figure it out, something like that.
Just have it called like the Room of the Eternal Cat Punishment or something.
Yes. Cat Purgatory.
Alright. But, it's been a few months, though, since we last had the conversation. And a few months since you've actually released, Kickstarter background notices. What has changed overall in both your experience in development, the community, and the industry overall?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I wish I was a politician. I would have like a stock answer for this. I think definitely something that's changed for me, at least, is that I am much more confident than I was before. Like before, I would make like art or something, and I would, in the back of my head, I knew that this was not good enough. But actually, I haven't had that problem for several months now, where everything I make, I am like happy with it. I'm like, this is the final thing. This is going to go in the game, and I don't have to change it later. And that's been a pretty cool experience for me. As far as business stuff goes, business is always just kind of very boring. It's all just kind of office stuff, and it's not my favorite part of the design process, but you know, someone's got to do it. The industry as a whole, I think I got burnt out on Kickstarters, or maybe there just haven't been too many Kickstarters that I'm totally excited about. But I'm excited about other indie games that are in development right now that may not be on Kickstarter, like not Skyfall. That's a James Bond movie.
Nice to know that you're a fellow Bond fan there.
Yeah. No, I think it's Sky Torn. Yeah, it's Sky Torn. And there's just lots of other Kickstarters that like came out around the time that mine did that I'm super excited about, like Hard Fourth Alicia and Chasm.
Not to mention Aegis Defenders beta came out yesterday. Oh, nice. Wow. That game is amazing. Like, have you had a chance to try it yet yourself?
No, but I watched a little bit of your stream, or at least the past broadcast of it, and it looks much better than it did during the Kickstarter, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's a little overtuned at the moment, but it looks like it's going to be great.
Cool.
Alright, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with the community before we wrap it up? We're going to make this a little bit of a shorter episode.
I mean, not really. I mean, if you're an alpha backer, check it out, and if you're not, check out like Nell's stream, because she's going to stream it, and check out other alpha backers, because this current build is actually okay to stream.
Roughly then, what would you say, since you have a lot more beta backers than alpha backers, when would you say that they might be expecting the beta to come out now?
I'd say it's late summer. That's kind of the original time frame from like, the Kickstarter, and I think we're still on frame
July,
for that.
Early August or so?
I'd say August. That's my ballpark, even though like during the Kickstarter I said that March was the alpha date, but it's now May. But that's only 2 months, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, development is always in flux. There's nothing you can say that was anything that's like guarantee here, guarantee there. And to be honest, the fact that you are working hardcore on this and you stream every week goes to show every single one of us that backs it that we know that you're putting the work into this and not just like, oh, I'm just going to go have a mocha latte and pretend to work.
Yeah, I especially like that aspect of the development live streams where people can just see that, hey, this is happening, it's for real.
I have to say, I personally appreciate it. Alright then, thank you very much for joining us once again, Bodie.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It's been a blast. So, alpha backers, your alpha is available now or very shortly after this episode goes up. Beta backers, stay tuned for around August. Everybody else, we have approximately November or so before this is out, so get that hype train rolling. Don't just leave it on me. I'm not the only person here.
Yay! Choo-choo!
Choo-choo hype train. In fact, here's a suggestion. Between now and the beta, show me some Time Spinner art. The best time spinner art, I will buy you a copy of the game.
Nice.
I will buy you a copy of the game. Show us some time spinner art. Send it up to Bodie. Tweet it out at Lunar Games. Bodie will send them to me, and I think between you and I guess we could pick the winner, and I'll buy a copy of the game for them. How's that sound?
Awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have yourself a spintastic day.
Bye.